Hello guys, welcome to Can I Cook It? I'm Matt, and today we're going to make something something that my mom made, meatloaf. It's actually one of the few dishes that my dad is willing to eat, though don't tell him I said that. But anyway, I'm going to go for the beef/turkey type of meatloaf that we're going to be working with. And really, can I cook this? Let's find out. Okay, to first get started, we're just going to add some pound of beef and ground turkey. And the reason why I chose those particular ones is that it's low in fat, low in cholesterol. Anyway, I'm just going to add the turkey and then the beef right here. It's also something that it's also my special preference when I eat meatloaf is also beef and turkey. I don't usually eat it with pork. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is add one package of McCormick seasoning mix. My mom usually uses this for it. Alright. And the next thing we're going to do is add some eggs slightly beaten. And the reason for that is that it's supposed to hold the meatloaf together, kind of like a glue and stuff like that. So let me just crack the egg a bit and put in here. So the next thing we're going to do is add a half a cup of milk. So after that, we're just going to, it's also part of like the experience. We just add them here. It also helps with the trying to get this all together. So I'm just going to put them in here. I'm going to also beat the eggs too. Don't want to forget about that. Slightly beaten though, not too beaten. So I'm just going to add this in here. And the next thing we're going to be doing is add 1/4 cup of dry breadcrumbs. So I'm just going to add that there. And then we're going to start mixing it up all together. And so far, now that we have all these ingredients together, this ketchup will be for an optional purpose, and I'll tell you the reason why, is to mix it all together, to make sure it's all nice and combined so that we can eventually make our loaf. And so the eggs are going to make sure to glue the breadcrumbs, the beef, the turkey all together. It's going to be a nice experience. Also, if you could hear like the oven, it's actually preheated at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So we need to make sure that's all ready up for when it actually gets baked. Anyway, once this is almost done, I'm going to put this in here for it in a loaf shape, and then we can then soon prepare it for the eventual heating up from the baking in the oven. I also need to tell you that you can also use your hands, or preferably with gloves, to also mix it. Makes it a little bit easier, but I don't want to get too dirty today because I don't have my apron on. Don't worry, you'll see it eventually again. But I'm using a batter this time to put all the meatloaf into this meatloaf pan right here, or glass, or whatever you wish to call it. So I'm going to just put them here, and then eventually flatten it up to make a loaf shape. And then once I start flattening it, it'll be in the meatloaf. Okay, let's shape it together. It's like clay in this case, but meatier. I mean earthier, or I don't know. I'm just making up stuff as I go right now. So I got the bowl out of the way, and the next thing we're doing is something that's completely optional, but something I would like to do, for this occasion, is to essentially paint the ketchup, or put the ketchup layer on the meatloaf before we start heating it up in the oven. So this feels like more like a freaking art project, because I'm painting something. It's like a canvas or something like that. So you have to make sure that you generously, as someone would say, to spread the ketchup into the top layer. It has to be like a certain thickness. It's supposed to help with I think Mom told me the reason why she put ketchup here is to make sure it's moist, stays moist. So that's an important thought. So right here, this is what it looks like before it's about to be baked. So the thing about it is that we're going to put this meatloaf in the oven, which is 350 degrees Fahrenheit after preheating, and it's going to be there for an hour, and it's going to be nice and baked. Once we take it out, it will be, we have to make sure it cools for about 15 minutes, give or take. Sometimes my mom says an hour, a little bit more than an hour would it take to actually bake the meatloaf, but you know, that's her estimate. So we'll get back to you on when it's finally baked and see how it goes, how it tastes. See you then. Okay, so the meatloaf is finally out of the oven. It took 15 minutes to make sure it cooled down so I don't burn my tongue or anything like that. So let's check how good this loaf is. So I'm just going to cut like a slight piece. Okay, so let me just put it in here in a plate, and now we can start tasting it. Alright, so let's see how this meatloaf is. Alright, maybe a little piece would be fine. This is really excellent. Wow, I actually did cook this. Alright, so thank you for watching. I thought this meatloaf was good. Has a little ketchup flavor of it. Nice and tender, nice and smooth. Now that's something you should write home about. So hopefully you can like, share, subscribe. You know, it would be much appreciated. And hope you can check us next time for the next episode. I'm just gonna eat this meatloaf a little bit more and see you around.